Hey everyone, welcome back. We've all watched this happen. You show interest, you text first, you try to set a date, you make it obvious you like her, and she stays lukewarm, barely matching your energy. Then, the moment you step back or move on, suddenly she's viewing all your stories, replying to them, liking your posts, and popping up in your messages. It's annoying and confusing, but there's real psychology behind it. Today, I'm breaking down why moving on is often more attractive than chasing, what's operating under the hood psychologically, how it plays out, whether you're seeing someone, in a relationship, or just crushing from afar, and what to do so you're acting from self-respect instead of scarcity. First, this is not about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's about understanding how attraction actually works and what genuinely changes the way someone perceives you. Let's start with something simple but powerful. Scarcity creates value. Behavioral economists have shown for decades that when something is less available, people judge it as more desirable. That's true of limited edition sneakers, sold-out tickets, and yes, romantic attention. Here's the catch. It only works when it's honest. If you're perpetually available, constant texting, reacting to every post, triple messaging after silence, your attention starts to feel expected, not earned. And what feels expected usually gets taken for granted. Again, this isn't about pulling away to trigger a reaction. It's about redirecting your energy toward yourself. When you put your focus back on your goals, your life, and your self-worth, you create a presence that reads as selective rather than needy or desperate. When you're rooted in your own value, you don't need to manufacture scarcity. Your time is naturally limited because your life is full. People feel your absence precisely because your presence mattered. They notice the shift, and that shift sparks curiosity and respect. So instead of endlessly giving, trying to prove yourself, or chasing approval, preserve your attention, not to manipulate, but to protect your value. When your attention is intentional, it becomes meaningful. Number 2, uncertainty increases interest. Here's where it gets interesting. Research has shown that people often feel more attracted when they're not completely sure how much the other person likes them, compared with when they know it for certain. That sounds counterintuitive, but there's a reason. Our brains are wired to lock on to uncertainty. The unknown activates the reward system, pulls focus, and builds emotional investment. This still isn't about being cryptic on purpose. The real lesson is that a little space and emotional pacing at the beginning allows curiosity to form naturally. When you over-pursue, texting nonstop, rushing intimacy, putting all your cards on the table before she's signaled equal interest, you flatten the emotional arc. There's no tension, no build, no sense of discovery. On the flip side, when you step back a bit, not to provoke her, but to honor your energy and allow a healthy pace, the dynamic can shift. She may start wondering where you went, why you stopped trying so hard, and what you're up to. That wondering can make her see you differently. Attraction isn't always instant. Sometimes it needs space to gather. When you stop chasing and let things unfold naturally, you give her the chance to genuinely miss you or feel something on her own timeline, without pressure or expectation. So no, you don't need to act distant or perform mystery theater. Be present, but don't overinvest too early. Let her meet you halfway. Real connection isn't forced. It's mutual energy that gathers momentum over time. Number 3, confidence is the ability to walk away when you're not chosen. Real confidence isn't loud. It isn't how much attention you collect or how hard you try to impress. It's your willingness to exit situations where you aren't truly wanted, and to do it without bitterness. One of the clearest signs of healthy self-esteem is being able to move on from people and environments that don't serve you, even if part of you wants them. When someone doesn't choose you, and you still choose yourself, that is power. That quiet power doesn't need to show off. It communicates a message that cannot be ignored. I want this, but I don't need it. I'd rather be respected than tolerated. When you keep pushing for someone who has shown disinterest, when rejection makes you try even harder, it reads as insecurity. Even if your intentions are pure, the subtext becomes, my self-worth depends on your approval. People pick up on that and often pull away from it. Confidence isn't ego, it's self-respect. Walking away with grace, not resentment, not drama, shows you aren't shaken by not being chosen because you know you bring value and you're willing to wait for someone who recognizes it. Walking away doesn't mean you never cared. It means you care about you too. Number 4, chasing flips the dynamic and not in your favor. There's a reason the harder you chase, the more someone tends to withdraw. It's not just a cliche, it shows up in attachment research. Anxious behaviors, constant reassurance seeking, escalating pursuit, trying to win someone over, often trigger the opposite reaction. Instead of pulling them closer, they feel pushed. If the person you like leans avoidant, chasing almost always backfires. They experience emotional crowding, interpret closeness as pressure, and step back to create space. Suddenly, the whole thing becomes lopsided. One person does the lifting, the other coasts. When you stop chasing, that balance can reset. You reclaim your energy. You remove pressure. You create space to breathe, reflect, and act from self-respect instead of desperation. That shift is powerful because nothing is more attractive than someone who knows their worth and refuses to force connection. You're not withdrawing to play games. You're stepping back because effort should be mutual and sustainable. The right person won't need to be chased. They will close the distance and meet you where you are. If they don't, that teaches you everything you need to know. Number 5, growth is magnetic. One of the most potent responses to not being chosen is to move on and grow. Not out of spite, not to provoke jealousy, but because you owe yourself your best future. When you stop checking her profiles, stop monitoring who she's with, stop rehearsing what she might be thinking, and instead pour that attention into yourself, everything changes. You invest in your mindset. You set fresh goals. You improve your health, your style, your focus, and your discipline. You start showing up differently, steadier, sharper, more intentional. Psychologists call this self-expansion. We're drawn to people who are actively evolving because being close to them makes us feel like we'll evolve too. We're wired to seek connection with those who expand our sense of possibility. Here's the twist. When you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing growth, you become the person others wish they'd noticed sooner. Your energy settles. You seem more grounded, more confident, more intentional. You're no longer chasing validation because you've created it from within. The version of you who's focused on becoming better instead of looking back is the version people remember. Sometimes they return, sometimes they don't. By then you realize it was never about being picked. It was about becoming someone you're proud of, and that cannot be taken from you. Final thoughts. Moving on isn't about being cold or petty, and it isn't a tactic to steal attention. It's the natural outcome of knowing your worth and choosing to protect your energy when someone isn't matching it. Ironically, that's often what finally gets noticed. People feel absence more than presence when they weren't appreciating it. But even if she never comes back, you still win because you're not stuck. You're not chasing someone who refuses to choose you. You're moving forward. You're growing into the kind of person who doesn't need to chase because the right people will meet you halfway. If this message helped, tap like and subscribe for more psychology-backed dating, self-improvement, and style insights from a woman's perspective. Tell me in the comments what boundary you're committing to this month, and if you haven't already, come hang out on Instagram. I love connecting with you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Here's what this looks like in real life. You don't vanish, you don't ghost. You keep it simple and calibrated. You send the invite, you set a time, and if the energy is vague or the plan keeps sliding, you say, no worries, let's circle back when our schedules align, and you move on with your day. You answer when she reaches out, but you don't hover. You match her pace. You keep your replies warm, concise, and purposeful, and you leave space for the conversation to breathe. Your calendar fills with your life, not with waiting. Uncertainty in practice means pacing. If she initiates, you meet her warmly. If she invests, you invest. If she slows, you slow. You aren't trying to create confusion. You're protecting clarity. The point is not to be hot and cold. The point is to be steady and self-owned. You let interest grow through experience. Shared coffee, great conversation, a walk after dinner, rather than through a never-ending stream of texts at midnight. Walking away with confidence has language, and it's clean. It sounds like, I enjoyed getting to know you. I'm looking for something with mutual momentum, and I'm not feeling that here. Wishing you the best. That's it. No blame, no bargaining, no back and forth debate. You respect both of you by refusing to negotiate for enthusiasm. Real connection does not require you to sell yourself. Attachment dynamics have tells. If you notice that reassurance buys you only a few hours of calm before the same anxiety returns, you're not building connection. You're feeding a cycle. If you notice your invitations keep getting deferred without counteroffers, you're not co-creating, you're auditioning. When you stop auditioning, you give the other person a chance to step into the role on their own or to step out permanently. Either outcome gives you the gift of truth. If you need a simple rule to steer by, use this. Match effort, maintain standards, and move forward. Match effort keeps you out of the trap of overgiving. Maintain standards keeps you from settling for breadcrumbs. Move forward keeps you from circling a closed door. You are not punishing anyone, you're simply honoring the facts in front of you. Remember, attention is a currency. Spend it where the return is real. Curiosity is a spark. Protect it by pacing. Confidence is a boundary. Prove it by walking when respect is absent. And growth is a magnet. Feed it every day with small, boring, powerful actions that compound over time. When you live this way for a few weeks, people feel the difference. The conversations you do have are richer because you're present. The invitations you send land better because they're rare. The silence you hold communicates more than any paragraph ever could because it tells the truth. You are a whole person with or without this connection, and you're open to something that meets you in the middle. If someone circles back after you've grown, respond with the same clarity you asked for. If they show consistent effort, let the story unfold. If they offer more of the same inconsistency, wish them well and keep moving. Your future is too important to mortgage on maybe. You're not trying to be hard to get. You're becoming hard to replace. That's the quiet shift that changes everything. Always choose wisely.